Okay, so about 2 months ago, my boyfriend and I attended a screening of Poor Things at the Barbican, as well as also visiting the costume exhibit after. The movie left me a little disturbed due to its themes surrounding autonomy, consent, and manipulation, particularly regarding our protagonist Bella, who is essentially an infant brought into the world by a kooky mad scientist character named Dr. Godwin Baxter. She inhabits her dead mother's body as a vessel and embarks on a journey of self-discovery involving sexual exploration, philosophical development, and political pondering. There has been a lot of online discourse about the film, with many providing much more nuanced discussions than I'm able to make in this video that's meant to be about the costume design. But what I will say is that I am of the school of thought that the film does have some valid things to say about womanhood and humanity. Also, I was particularly drawn to covering this film due to a previous video I had made discussing the costume design in a generally less controversial film, 13 Going on 30, where a young girl is also trapped in the body of an adult. In that video, I delved deep into how Jenna's childlike perspective profoundly influenced her fashion choices. And I would really love to do the same for this film. But first, some background. Costume designer Holly Waddington, who recently won an Oscar and a BAFTA for her work on the film, led a team of 40 people, including cutters, seamstresses, and fabric dyers, to achieve what we see on screen. Waddington was given conceptual freedom, with one of the only references being an Egon Schiele painting. The director Yorgos Lanthimos aimed for the film to be a departure from overt period drama or science fiction aesthetics. Waddington, with her background in Victoriana, opted to eschew the corsetry heavily associated with Victorian fashion, which I personally enjoyed because when it comes to 18th and 19th century period pieces, I'm definitely not a purist. Although I love to observe the costume design, I'm admittedly not an expert in any way. As I have previously kind of touched upon, the film explores the born sexy yesterday trope through costume design. Bella is portrayed as internally childlike. Her character development from infancy to self-assured womanhood is depicted through costumes. The initial scenes depicting Bella's infancy are categorized by her sheltered existence within the confines of the house she lives in with Godwin and Mrs. Prim. Bella's wardrobe would have been curated by Mrs. Prim, reflecting a mix of Victorian elements applied in a kind of ad hoc manner. The costumes aren't explicitly baby clothes and possess a womanly quality, yet they are worn in a slightly disorganized way due to Bella's childlike physicality. One of Bella's outfits includes textured bloomers reminiscent of 1950s nappy covers, paired with a thick moire taffeta bodice. Holly has mentioned that one of her favorite costumes, and mine, is based on an authentic Victorian bustle cage skirt that reminded her of a Moncler piece. I love the incorporation and linking of Victorian pieces with contemporary inspiration. Speaking of which, it's impossible to talk about this film and its fashion without talking about the statement sleeves, which was based upon the Victorian era leg of mutton sleeve. They are characterized by their voluminous shape with a tapered down and fitted cuff. They gained popularity during the 1820s and reached their peak between the 1830s to the 1890s. The origins of the leg of mutton sleeve can be traced back to the Romantic movement, which sought to emphasize natural beauty and expressiveness in fashion. Its exaggerated silhouette symbolized wealth and status, as it required considerable amounts of fabric and intricate tailoring techniques. Despite its eventual decline in the early 20th century, the legacy of the leg of mutton sleeve continues to influence contemporary fashion and design, as displayed by their prominence in the film. Lisbon. Bella's arrival in Lisbon marks a pivotal point in the film, symbolizing her exposure to the outside world and the beginning of her journey towards self-discovery. Holly Waddington describes Bella's experience as akin to the world exploding in front of her, with everything appearing in vibrant technicolor. Bella's journey is really marked by a shift from black and white cinematography to a world bursting with color. Central to this visual narrative is a strong presence of the color yellow, reserved specifically for Bella. Interestingly, Holly Waddington has also said that she sees the colors yellow and black as nature's warning colors. While Bella isn't dangerous per se, she is definitely troublesome in that she often deviates from the norms of Victorian society, such as wearing yellow bloomers outside or a sheer skirt to dance in a room full of people wearing ball gowns. Bella is not only challenging societal norms of the time that she lives in, but also reflecting her childlike unawareness of the rules of polite society. I was also really stuck on Bella's footwear during the Lisbon sequence. The idea for Bella's shoes, little peep-toe heels, stemmed from the concept that even her feet needed a sense of release and freedom because she has such an uncontainable nature. The design for the shoe draws inspiration from André Courrèges. The reference point was a specific pair of Courrèges shoes zipped at the back with a peep toe. A hybrid approach was taken, incorporating elements of Victorian heels and lacing instead of a zipper. I think the shoe choice worked perfectly given that Bella's feet are exposed for much of the Lisbon sequence. Bella's fashion undergoes significant changes as she progresses through the different stages of her journey. Initially, there is a strong prevalence of Bella's staple color, yellow, with ruffles being a reoccurring motif. But as Bella matures through her conversations with Harry, her clothing evolves to reflect that growth. This mature blue high neck ensemble with many layers suggests a shift towards a greater level of sophistication and awareness. There is a notable transition towards more conservative and covered up clothing choices, indicating Bella's increasing awareness of social conventions, and I suppose a sense of maturing in that she is able to recognize these conventions. Alexandria. Upon arriving in Alexandria, Bella's outfits take on a different tone to reflect the stark contrast between her luxurious surroundings and the social inequality presented to her. The costume designer aimed to highlight the injustice present in the setting by juxtaposing Bella's extravagant outfits with the harsh reality of poverty. Bella's attire during this scene is described by Holly Waddington as clown-like, with particularly exaggerated features such as the oversized ruffle and the reoccurring oversized sleeves that we've already seen. The choice of red lip adds to the clown-like appearance of Bella, further emphasizing the contrast between her privileged position and the suffering of others. The Paris scenes. Bella wears what has been referred to in the press run for the film as a condom raincoat, serving as sexual innuendo that kind of foreshadows her imminent role as a sex worker. She profoundly displays her sexuality overtly and without shame, even in the face of direct shaming by Duncan. Typically, there are specific expectations regarding the type of clothing and color schemes associated with Victorian-era sex workers. However, Holly sought to subvert these associations by introducing unexpected elements. The color palette, for one, in the brothel scenes consists of soft, muted tones rather than more commonly used colors like black and red. The women in these scenes wore pieces made from colors resembling skin tones, acting as a celebration of the female body. Corsets are deliberately avoided in these scenes. Mark Ruffalo's character Duncan and Madame Swinley are some of the only characters in the whole film to actually wear a corset, while Bella and the other women in the brothel do not. The view of the costume designer was that corsetry forces a certain body shape, and for someone who is completely free like Bella and completely new to the world, she just did not feel that this conceptually made sense for her to wear one. And by extension, none of the women in the brothel wore them either. During her experiences in Paris, Bella has what I feel to be her biggest aesthetic change. Her color palettes become significantly muted, and she takes on this almost gothic steampunk vibe. She even begins to wear her hair in a braid, contrasting her previous loose, free-spirited approach to styling her hair. The London scenes. The Bella that returns to London is a completely different person in that she is fully dressed, wearing appropriate layers, and also completely embodies a far more stark, achromatic color palette. The wedding. The wedding dress was inspired by early 20th century French fashion designer Madeleine Vionnet. Particularly her beehive dress. Bella's wedding dress is envisioned as a cage with bands of delicate silk tubing, emphasizing the sense of entrapment Bella must feel on some level by getting married. The dress, of course, features her signature exaggerated leg of mutton sleeves, which were the largest of the entire movie. Bella's brief transition back to the old life of her mother, Victoria, is marked by a return to wearing clothes that seem to be influenced by her husband, the army general. These outfits appear to shield her body, perhaps reflecting the controlling and abusive nature of her husband, giving a very severe appearance, especially in contrast to all of the round edges and ruffles that we see present in Bella's own costumes. Back to Bella. As the runtime draws to an end, the costume design reflects Bella's development and growth throughout the movie. The outfits presented to us are Bella's take on a more conventional approach to dressing compared to her previous attire. It serves as a visual cue to indicate Bella's transition to a more serious and mature character, symbolizing Bella's evolution from a child to a fully realized woman. Thank you for watching and staying with me till the end of the video. Since you're here, you might as well subscribe. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video.